Hey beer tubers, it's Ryan back with another episode of San Diego Beer Vlog. Today we're going to look at another Russian River beer. I mentioned that I had a lot to review, so next up is Sanctification. It's getting the aroma on the beer, and it has a nice tartness on there. There you get that apple cider kind of like fresh, like apple peel vinegar kind of character. There's also some wine-like fruity sweet notes to it as well, and of course using the Brettanomyces yeast you get some of that hay-like barnyard funkiness. That's very much on the nose on this one, but not completely overwhelming. If you ever had Orval, you can tell how much a beer that's been re-fermented in the bottle, such as this one with Brettanomyces, how much that character changes as the bottle ages. So it'll be interesting to see how this one tastes, you know, let's say 6 months, a year down the road. Forgot to get the ABV. This is 6.75%, so it's more like a Belgian blonde. You know, it's not really as low as some of the other kind of, you know, wild American wild ales, or at least the Belgian styles tend to be lower ABV. And then the appearance, I got about a finger head to start with. Ton of carbonation still going, mostly medium bubbles on it, and it's very, very clear beer. See the camera through it. Nice kind of golden hay-like color. So let's dig in. Cheers. Yeah, there's a lot of tartness up front. And that first sip on a lot of these kind of sour ales takes a while to your tongue. You just get smacked with sourness. Your tongue takes a while to kind of get used to that before you can get more of the flavors of the beer. Because a lot of these beers, they do have more complex components than just being sour. But right straight away, it's very refreshing. My tongue's getting a little more used to tartness. Get that nice kind of white grape character in there. Like almost like a lemongrass kind of component as well. These beers tend to be very lightly hopped. So if anything, they're maybe using some kind of like earthy hop, you know, very like noble hop. Just something really low alpha acid, just enough to keep the beer, you know, use the preserves of the hops for the beer. But in this case, yeah, there's some bacteria in there that kind of producing that lactic citric acid kind of notes to it. But it's a very soft mouthfeel. A lot of these tart beers can be just really mouth puckering. I mean, it's tart, but it leaves a nice dry finish on the beer, as you expect with BRET. Tends to leave, eats more of those complex sugars up. Leaves a very nice clean finish, and you're ready to go back for more. I mean, for a hot day, I think this would be a perfect beer just because it's just very thirst quenching, and it would pair nicely with food too, because it's all that carbonation scrubs your tongue, cleans everything out with a meal. So far very nice for Sanctification. So with this beer, no Saccharomyces was used to ferment it. It says that right on the label. 100% fermented with Brettanomyces. So I mean, it's a true kind of wild yeast beer. Whereas most beers are brewed with Saccharomyces, which is known as brewer's yeast. And you see that, you know, in all your ales and lagers that you typically buy. Pretty much most of the beer world, except for these American, you know, wild ales, the Belgian styles, you know, the lambics, the Flanders reds and browns. Those will sometimes either be spontaneously fermented, so they'll just use wild yeast that's in the air, and sometimes they'll actually just spike the beer with some of these bacteria to get some of that lactic acid produced, and they'll ferment most of the beer with the regular Saccharomyces. So I mean, there's different styles and ways to get this kind of tart beer. I poured the rest of the bottle and got a little bit more yeast in there. They do recommend leave the yeast in the bottle. So far, very just clean, refreshing beer. You get more and more of that kind of wine fruitiness coming through as the sourness fades away. Some of that just very mild, earthy kind of funk notes towards the back of the tongue. Nothing very prominent in this beer yet, but it still drinks very nice. This is a beer, I think the tartness will probably stay around a little bit longer with this beer because it is pretty tart right away. So I think even 6 months, a year from now, will still be a good amount of a kick up front with it. What's nice on this one also is up front with that tartness, it's like a nice like lemony, kind of like a sour lemon character, a little bit of like the peel thrown in, a little zest. And then there's almost like a like another kind of fruitiness, not like a white wine character, more of you know, like a melon kind of fruit character going on as well. So it's pretty interesting. It's certainly not sweet, although it finishes very clean. The closest beer I think that I've had to this would be, you know, the more traditional gouzes, the Girardin, Three Fontaine, Cantillon. I say those kind of styles are a little more akin to this, even though this isn't, to my knowledge, a blended beer. It doesn't mention anything on the bottle, but anyway, I'm going to go with a B+ for this beer. It's definitely above average. It just doesn't quite live up to, say, those beers, which its profile is kind of the most similar to, because it doesn't quite have the complexities that those beers have. Although it's very refreshing beer. I wish it was just priced a little better too. That you could buy. I mean, it's not unreasonable, but it's a bit expensive for a beer that, to me, I could session this. I'm not tasting any alcohol. I mean, it's approaching 7%, but it's just a really nice, drinkable sour ale, which is kind of what you want. But the ABV, you know, it's a little high for that. It'd be nice to be more like, they get it down to like 4 or 5%. And just be able to, like, just on a warm day, just drink quite a bit of this. So, very nice beer from Russian River. They brew some amazing beers. Another nice one as far as their sour, you know, wild ale line goes, the Shun series. So that's going to wrap it up for today. Until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.